Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, thank you for everybody for getting us up over 5,000 subscribers. That was very good. We starting a live stream that we do on Tuesday nights called Shark Tank Live. Once we get to 6,000 subscribers, we will do some remote broadcast. In 7,000, we'll be putting in a call-in show potentially as well. So thank you for subscribing. If you have subscribed, tell a friend. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you listen on one of the other mediums besides YouTube, go over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel for me. That would help me out a lot as well. I'm here with Bill Flowers every week, just like I always am. We're talking ball. How you doing, Bill?
Doing great, Steven. How about you, buddy?
Man, I'm doing pretty fired up. And this is my takeaway from the Texas A&M game. When Ole Miss does the quick stuff, when Ole Miss incorporates that into their offense, that offense cannot be stopped by anybody other than themselves and the officials.
Is that me saying that, or is that you saying that?
That's me saying that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's been what I've been trying to say the whole year is incorporate the quick game, and that opens up everything, and that allows you to control the clock and allow your defense to be super aggressive. Let them do exactly what they're designed to do right now, which is to be super aggressive. And I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. It was a really interesting, it was fun to see that offense be replicated from LSU, because there was the question of, was LSU's defense just that bad? No, you just did that against the number one defense in the Southeastern Conference. And if nothing else, Bill, we're going to talk about this in just a second. That is the perfect scout team for what Ole Miss is going to go against this week.
Yeah, the getting that win like they did, and being able to incorporate the short game. I'm hoping that there's even more of an emphasis, because I feel like Georgia is right now is hitting their stride. They played really well against Mizzou, and they're going to have to play a flawless game on offense and truly controlling the time of possession, and keeping everything within 15 yards, keeping that mindset, essentially body blows, and then periodically hitting them over the top, incorporating the run game, keeping them on the ropes. I was watching, forget what game it was in the NFL. I think it was last night, where they were talking about Steve Walsh, and he said, listen, do you guys remember Steve Walsh saying, let your pass game be your run game? And your 5-yard outs, your 5-yard hitches, using the slot receivers in the middle of the field, using your tight end from a true tight end position, letting him release to do curls and in routes and out routes, forcing the safeties to come down to play that. And when you do that, then you have the over the top opportunities. And then your run game has so many more opportunities. Somebody was asking me today about, well, if you're focusing so much on the short game, Bill, doesn't that keep your linebackers and safeties kind of close to the scrimmage and hinder your run game? I said, no, absolutely not. What happens is those linebackers are going to have to release, and they're going to know that they're going to have to protect the flats, the outside areas, because if they don't, then they're going to have prolonged drives. And what that does is your linebackers are going to flee, and that keeps you an open run zone. So that's exactly why you want to have your short, quick game, because your short, quick game will absolutely exponentially increase the value of your run game.
Now, Georgia is a top 10 team in the country. Now, you're going to look at them, their sack numbers, they're like 65th in the country. Their TFLs are like 89th.
Yeah.
But they are top 10 in scoring points against, points scored. They're all of those factors. But the main thing that I'm interested in is they are top 10 in third downs converted and top 10s in preventing you from converting third down. So it's going to be important for Ole Miss to have manageable third downs. You can't be in third and long against this defense.
And those are just other reasons to emphasize the short game of not allowing yourself to get into long, drawn out, long third downs. Listen, getting the ball out quickly, being able to eat up yardage is exactly what Dart is going to have to do. It's what makes this team successful. And they've got a great defense. If he holds the ball more than 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, there's going to be issues. Just mark my word for that. Our offensive line isn't good enough to contain Dart with holding the ball for 3+ seconds. It's not going to happen. And I think defensively, as at the end of the game against A&M, and I think if you look at it, we are a team that has to put absolute pressure on the quarterback. It's the same thing, our offensive line, when Dart gets the ball out quickly, it doesn't matter if you're blitzing or if you're bringing a lot of pressure, because you got the ball out quickly. But if you don't, when we play with extreme aggression on defense and bring pressure and have free backers just having, free access to that quarterback, it wreaks havoc on them, and they can't play the way they want to play. And that's the only way we will be able to beat Georgia. And that's why you have to hold the ball offensively and win that time of possession, because you know that you can't let Georgia just hold the ball and eat up clock and score a lot of points.
Yeah, and you look at Carson Beck. Nobody has been able to affect Carson Beck at Georgia, the quarterback. Georgia's got the best offensive line that Ole Miss is probably going to see this year. They do a really good job of protecting him. Is this a game that am I overthinking it a little bit? A Centarian Perkins, a pass rush specialist just designed to get him off of his spot and affect that timing?
Well, I think you would see it again at the end of the game against A&M. You saw how when you go conservatively versus aggressive, you played your strengths when you play aggressive, and that's exactly what Perkins is right now. He's so young that his drop skills and playing in space aren't there. Where he shines is when you pin his ear back and just let him go. Just let him do his thing. And that's, that and bringing your safeties, slot nickelback blitzes. That's exactly what you have to do. If we play conservatively, listen, you understand that you can't sit in the middle of the ring and play with a 500-pound gorilla. You just can't do it. So what you've got to do is you've got to do guerrilla warfare and come out of the woods and just say, listen, if we have to lose, we're going to lose by us being absolutely super aggressive. We're not going to lose by being conservative. Our offense is what allows us to win games when they are taking what the defense gives them, controlling the clock with ball management, and taking away the will of the defense. Because when you're hitting the short stuff and you're running and you're getting 10, 5, 15-yard chunks here and there, and the defense is going to make some turnovers, that's what Ole Miss is. That is what we are, and that's the identity that we have shown. And anything other than that is going to kind of not bode well.
When you look at Georgia's front seven's obviously going to be focused on Quinshon Judkins because they'd be crazy not to be. The secondary for Georgia is obviously all the coverages are going to roll towards Trey Harris. And after the Texas A&M game, that makes all the sense in the world. So to me, this is a game that Caden Priestcorn, Dayton Wade, Jordan Watkins, one of those guys has to step up and be a star of the football game.
And you just mentioned the guys that play in the slots in the middle of the field. 100%. If we didn't have Harris, we probably don't win against A&M. And so you've got to be able to utilize the middle of the field, the quick stuff, get the ball out quickly. That's how you do it. That's 100% how you do it. If you don't see those guys having a big game, then we don't win. Because the middle of the field and utilizing the slot receivers of doing curls, doing win routes, doing little out routes. That's what's going to allow Harris to make big plays. Because like you said, if they roll the coverage over to him, then you have to take what the defense gives you. But it also puts a lot of pressure on Dart of recognizing it. And Dart's going to have to be a big boy here and really pre-snap read and understand where if that pressure comes, where does he need to get the ball out? This is going to be his biggest test for him this year on being able to, manage the pressure.
To beat Georgia is much like what Alabama used to be when Kirby Smart was there. A quarterback had to have just a major, major day. Steven Garcia, Bo Wallace, Chad Kelly, those guys where the quarterback absolutely performed at a high level. This is a legacy game for Jaxson Dart. This is one of the things. If Ole Miss wins this game, Jaxson Dart completely played out of his mind, don't you think?
Yes, and it doesn't have to be sexy. It does not have to be sexy. Sexy to Lane Kiffin and is hitting the third level, the second level, holding the ball, trying to, 4-step drop. That's not what's going to make Dart successful on Saturday. What's going to make him sexy and what's going to make him hit that next level of maturity is getting the ball out, hitting within 10 yards and hitting 80% of that. That's what he's doing. And then hitting the deep stuff. So, Garcia and all those guys that you mentioned, listen, they had big games, but managing the game and understanding where to take and put the ball when pressure comes and what the defense gives you is what's going to make you successful.
Another part that we need to talk about and look into is just like those Alabama games, quarterback run game is probably going to be a major key for Jaxson Dart in this game.
Well, Jaxson Dart is the run game. I mean, when you do 5 yard, when you do 5 wide, and you have to use that to your advantage. You have to. That's part of the run game, and when you have a 5 wide and you start throwing little slants and outs and dinks and dunks, what that's doing is that's keeping the linebackers from being able to utilize the take the middle of the field away. And when the middle of the field is exposed, Dart exposes it. So that's why it's so important for Dart to really hit the short, quick game in order to utilize those plays with his legs.
All right, Bill, give me a prediction for the game this weekend.
I think we're going to have to score
put you on the spot.
42 points, but I'm hoping we don't have to score that many. But I'd say probably 42-38 Ole Miss.
Yeah, if Ole Miss scores 42, they're winning the game, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially where we've been with our LSU game and our A&M. You're having to score. Listen, our defense. It is what it is. It's like super aggressive and high risk, high reward. Offense has to hold the ball, control the time of possession, and the only way that you do that is by putting it in Dart's control of pre-snap read, getting the ball out quickly, utilizing it, and using 3 facets of the game: running the ball with our running backs, our receivers catching it quickly, getting yak, and then Dart utilizing the middle of the field with his legs.
Yeah, and look for the Ole Miss defense if they can get home against Carson Beck, because nobody has been able to affect Carson Beck.
Well, you know why? Because he gets the ball out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about I think he gets the ball out quicker than any of the quarterbacks in the SEC, because he has the least amount of sacks as well, because he gets the ball out quickly. He doesn't. I mean, Dart and Beck, there's no comparison talent wise. I mean, you've got Dart every day and twice on Sunday, but understanding that your job is to get the ball out quickly is what's helped them establish I would say a good passing game. It's not great, and that's what Dart's got to do, and Dart will be the key reason of why Ole Miss's offense is successful or not successful on Saturday, whether that's fair or not.
Yeah, that's the way it works. Everybody talks about Eli Manning falling down at the end of that LSU game in 2003. That game wasn't Eli Manning's fault.
Yeah. Oh, and at the end of the day, the quarterback is what everybody looks at and is going to determine. I mean, you have the ball every time, and that's a lot of pressure on you, and it's a lot to put on a kid. And it is what it is.
All right. Thank you very much for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you, Bill Flowers, for joining us. And hopefully next week we're talking about an upset win over the Georgia Bulldogs going into Louisiana Monroe and Mississippi State.
Well, I'm hopeful.
Yep, we're all hopeful, man. This is one of those things. We're hopeful.
All right. Well, howdy, brother.
Take care, man.